possibilities are really endless of how speakers can interact with the Internet of Things. We're setting ourselves up to be some of the leaders in that space.
We want to connect our systems, Harman systems, to this new world. And the Omni wireless speakers are just one part of that. You know, we have a lot of products in the roadmap that will be able to have APIs, and you know, we're working on several projects now. It's not just about wireless speakers, because we see this as a bigger play. I think the biggest opportunity is around the connected home and connected car space. And long term, I see those merging into one thing.
We really, from the start, wanted to create a system that was extensible, that uses like standard, wireless technology. And the reason to do that is because we want to speak to this larger community of devices called the Internet of Things. It's going to be vastly important for all consumer electronics, and audio is going to play its role in that. All of your devices are going to get smarter. They're going to work more automatically. That's true of your speakers too.
Where we want to go is that you just freely speak to your house. You could call it a name. You could name your house, and when you say that name, you could then command it to do something for you.
Omni, turn on the fireplace, please. Omni, turn off all the interior lights, please.
All this stuff can be done today.
Hi, everybody. Just thought we'd do a little intro video. Got to liven things up a bit here. Apologize, this will be in English. If you need to have translation, you'll probably have to go to a different mode there. So my name's Kevin Hague. I work for Harmon International. I'm a VP within the CTO organization. I'm one of maybe 2 VPs at the company that still writes my own code. So I'm both an engineer and kind of a marketing guy, as I'm up on stage right now. So let's see if the remote can work here. All right, so I have a little bit of background, 3 Fortune 500 companies, including Harman, and I've done 3 startups. One of them was very successful. The other 2, don't ask me about. So why am I here? So Harman International is actually a pretty old company, 80 years old. We worked on the first talking films, before films were just silent. And so we have a very strong audio heritage. But we also, since the early 90s, have been very heavily involved in automotive systems. That includes infotainment systems and telematics. So that's kind of where our connected car comes in. So we're very active in connected car, lifestyle audio, so that's like connected home type technologies, professional solutions, so some of the gear here may even be made by my company. And typically, like a lot of large artists, like just about anybody that you could name, use our gear at concerts. We also have a very large connected services group that specializes in IoT. And so that's mainly in software side. So obviously, we're targeting these areas. We have spaces, we have equipment and gear in these spaces today. We're looking to interact with these types of systems. So everything from your lights to the front door lock, productivity systems. When you walk into a conference room, isn't it annoying when you have to type all these codes to get a conference started? How many billions of dollars are wasted with that? So we're working on systems that improve that kind of technology. So let's go back a little bit to 1957, the Monsanto House of the Future. You can actually look this up on YouTube. It's an amazing video that shows where we were in 1957. And they thought what was cool was automating thermostats, AKA Nest of that era, speaker phones, microwave ovens, and a whole host of technology. Go watch the video. I trust you'll find it very interesting. And what's interesting is that really we haven't evolved from 1957 till now. We have, obviously much more high tech, big touch screens, Nest thermostats, a sensor in every room, But what's really about the same as what was in the past was that you still have to touch buttons and do things with these systems. And what I want to talk about today is how the Internet of Things and the growth of the Internet of Things is going to actually change the way that we actually use computers. Okay, this is not just IoT. This is like a bigger deal. And one of the takeaways that I think you should think about is that there's an opportunity in the computing era to actually leapfrog what everybody's talking about today. I mean, when you're in your house, you want to carry this around the house all day? You know, I don't. I want to change my song by saying, hey, I don't really like that song, play something else, and just speak to the house. So at Harman, we want to become the eyes and ears and voice of your home. And so to do that, we're looking at some core technologies. These are what you need to do to move to the world of actual cognitive computing. So what we really need is we need really cheap cloud computing. There's no way that really you can do all of this stuff in your home, and nor do you want to. We also need really cheap electrical engineering components. Now, Taiwan has a very strong history in EE. I mean, you guys have more EE per capita than I think anywhere else in the world, which is really amazing. So processors, SoCs, memory, flash, all these things, they have to get cheap and they need to get fast. So it's really amazing. For 12 bucks or whatever, you can get a quad core, you know, 1 gigahertz plus CPU that boggles the mind that you could get it so cheap and put it into any kind of device. Connectivity. We want to be able to stay connected anywhere in the world at any time. So, and that includes your home. Connectivity isn't just for connectivity to the internet, it's connectivity to these devices. So whether it's Z-Wave, Zigbee, these other technologies, it's really important to standardize and normalize and become very low power. And then something that nobody ever really talks about is software. What glues all this stuff together is software. So at Harman, we're making investments in all of these spaces, whether that's internal investments or external investments. But a lot of people are looking at kind of, I would say, the wrong things in some respects. They look at this sensor that they want to glue and run on a battery for 4 months. And I think really what we're talking about is how do I glue cloud services together? Systems of systems is where the money's at. So that's because it drives what consumers want. I want to be able to connect my Wemo system to my Wink hub and use IFTTT or IFT to link all of this stuff together in some way that makes it, you know, autonomous. And maybe I use Amazon Echo that I can control things with my voice versus having to carry a phone around. But I think this is just a small picture, you know, just this one bit. When we're looking at this, this is really where things are going. And it was interesting in the first talk on the main stage today, 2001 Space Odyssey was brought up. And I always use that as my like golden reference, I think, to like what people thought the future was. And we're still stuck in that future, the future of using keyboards. And the future, you know, when I use an iPhone or the HTC phone that I have in the other, my backpack, you know, they have a virtual keyboard. You know, how is that any different than a PC? It's just really small and shrunk down. So we're still living in the, kind of living in the past, so to speak, you know, in my mind. And where we're moving to is a space where computers are going to start thinking for us. You know, we talk about autonomous cars. Just think of all the decisions an autonomous car will have to make to drive you around town automatically. I mean, trillions of decisions, you know, on a trip. And so we're kind of down over in this section here. Most products are way down in that corner. You know, people are still building out this technology. Some people are doing system of systems. Some people are figuring out how to do more. But the further you move up this value chain, the more money you're going to make and the more consumer value you're going to create. So what do you not want to go to? You don't want to be HAL 9000, which was the evil computer on the spacecraft that was controlled by an alien and killed off the crew, and a bunch of other weird stuff happened in that movie, 2001 Space Odyssey. But I think we want to get to the point where things do happen automatically when you go to your house. Do you want it to turn up the heat when you're 2 miles away? See, at Harman, we have both the infotainment systems in the car, and we have connectivity at the home through some of our systems. So when I'm 2 miles away, maybe I want to be able to have the heat automatically adjust up. And then normally in the day, if it knows you're not there, it turns down. You know, Nest Thermostat has APIs for that. And so one of the things that I wanted to impart, and this is based on my knowledge of running some startups and seeing what large companies, by being embedded in large companies, you learn a lot. You learn about what they don't have. So here's what I would say to budding entrepreneurs or anybody else that's interested in you know, expanding their future to what I think is going to become the cognitive era. So the first thing is stay informed. Come to events like this. You know, GMIC is a very wide range of people, but go find some IoT conferences. Kind of think outside the box. Go to a cloud computing conference, right? If you're into hardware, go talk about software. Go look at software. Think about the future. When you specify your hardware platforms, are you so focused on BOM cost that you forget about 6 months from now when you do an over-the-air update, you know, and it doesn't fit onto your device? What if you want to add a feature? MQTT is a fairly new protocol that a lot of IoT devices are using to communicate, but most people don't have it in their gear. Can you upgrade to having that? More advanced operating systems, Linux versus RTOS. You know, RTOS is very easy. You know, half the people in this room probably can program RTOS. And find ways to directly connect to the internet. I think that's an interesting thing. So is it through a Bluetooth interface that is on a mobile phone? You know, now you're relying on somebody having an app that connects to your device. So they never upgrade it. They might connect to it occasionally. It's not very interactive. But once you have a direct internet connection and you can start to build your technology as a system of systems, then people will use your technology automatically. You know, it will just link in. So I think those are some of the first ones. Start to think about cloud computing and algorithms, networking. These are types of software technologies that you have to start to embed into your devices. And remember back on slide 1, we talked about building a platform, hardware platform that would support more software. That's where these guys come in. So you get them plugged in on your platform, you can start to do a lot more. Here's an interesting one, support developer access, right? Do you have APIs for your software, for your various types of platforms? Thinking about platforms means thinking about building ecosystems. Once you start building ecosystems, then you can tie into this bigger connection between devices. That's when multipliers happen. If you get 1,000 developers working on your platform, that's when you can actually get, you know, almost 1,000x times the visibility, because now you have a bunch of advocates for you that you don't have to pay. And they get benefit. It's a symbiotic relationship. And then I think this is what I'm getting at. Natural language processing, microphones, sensors like thermal sensors. You know, now you can get a thermal sensor for very cheap that can actually even see people and know how many people are in a room. These kind of things are kind of interesting. You don't have to like get into data like I know, you know, how hot you are and, you know, any of this other stuff, although you could find out when people are sick. But I think it also opens up things like, hey, if I could wave at something, you know, like a Nest fire alarm, you can turn it off with a wave. Those are kind of the things that we're seeing in Silicon Valley. And to sort of sum it up, what does it mean on the bottom line? Right now, there's a lot of breadth. People are working on a million different things. You saw on the IoT hype curve, the hype curve, the Gartner hype curve, IoT is at the very top. Well, what's going to happen is that IoT is going to slip down into the trough of disillusionment, as Gartner calls it. And what's going to end up happening is there's going to be consolidation. You know, this is the next phase. So this is where small guys are going to either have to become an entrepreneur or go work at a company that's doing what they're interested in. That's what I've done. I call it porpoising, where you go into a big company and then you leave to do a startup and then you kind of get bought and sucked back into a big company. It's kind of an interesting thing. Entrepreneurs are going to come up with cool ideas. Look at Nest, right? Who thought that a thermostat could be sexy, but they made it into something very interesting, right? And now Google bought them for, I don't know, $2 billion or something like that. Middle size and blue chips, they're going to start sucking in these small companies. They're going to have to actually speed up their inorganic growth, because internally they can only hire so many people and they're not doing anything that sexy. So all the good people want to go work for the Nest of the world, and really what they have to do is start to buy up those type of companies. So I think the key takeaways, and I'll end on this note. I think the key takeaways, we're moving into a world of cognitive computing, whether we like it or not. Computers are going to start to do things for us and start to listen to our speech and understand what we want to do and do it for us. So that's number one. Number two, it's a huge opportunity because of this. It means keyboards and stuff like that, you're only going to use them to send like big long emails to your boss about your status report. Number three is, I would say, position yourself. If you're into this market, if you're doing stuff in IT, position yourself to either lead in this space or get bought in this space, or do something really interesting, because this is like 1960 or 70 for technology, for like computing technology of those days. So those will be the last things that I have to say, and it looks like my time is up. So if you have any questions, feel free. I'll be around, and once again, thanks for your